what you can include as expenses in your personal tax return depends on whether you are a sole trader or a director of your own limited company. In this video, I go through both scenarios so that you know what is applicable for you. If you haven't subscribed yet, do make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you know next time I upload a video about all things business money. I am Annette Ferguson, Chartered Accountant and Certified Profit First Professional, and I run Annette Co, a UK-based accounting firm. In this video, I'm going to speak about both if you are a sole trader or if you are a director of your own limited company. I'm going to start with those expenses that you can claim in either situation. If you are the director of a limited company, then the expenses of your business go through your business's tax return and not your personal tax return. Personal tax return, also known as self-assessment or self-assessment tax return. However, in this situation, there are some things that you can put through your personal tax return in order to reduce your personal tax liability. And these things can also be claimed, incidentally, if you are a sole trader and self-employed as well. Firstly, charitable contributions. Did you give money to charity last year? If so, these contributions should be going on your personal tax return. All donations made by individuals to registered charities or to community amateur sports clubs attract 100% tax relief. How it works in practice depends a little bit on how you have chosen to give those funds. For example, you might be donating through gift aid or perhaps as a contribution from your salary. The tax relief means that, for example, let's say you donated £1,000 last year, and let's say that you are a higher rate taxpayer. In that situation, you can claim back £250 of that donation on your self-assessment tax return. Charitable tax relief also applies to sole traders and partnerships, but not to donations made on behalf of a limited company. The next claim is use of home as office, sometimes referred to as work from home allowance. And there are two ways to calculate this. You can either use the flat rate basis or you can use the actual cost basis to calculate how much you can claim for use of home as office in your personal self-assessment tax return. Under the flat rate method, if you work 25 to 50 hours a month at home, then you can claim £10 a month. If you work 51 to 100 hours a month, you can claim £18. And if you work 101 hours or more a month, you can claim £26 a month. If you can prove by way of a fair and reasonable calculation that your actual costs are higher than this, then you can claim a higher sum, but you will need supporting evidence if you ever have a tax investigation to prove the basis of your calculation. When it comes to the actual costs calculation, some things that you can include are heat, light and power expenses, calls made from your home telephone, perhaps a second business line that you might have in your house, insurance if there is business equipment insured under your home insurance policy. But it's important to note that broadband costs subject to the contract are not allowed if the contract was in place before you started working from home. You also cannot claim cleaning costs of your house if you pay cash wages with no receipt to the cleaner. You also cannot claim a portion of rent where you have not incurred additional rental charges as a result of running a business from home. And you cannot claim mortgage capital or interest either. And finally, you can't claim portions of council tax or water rates. So next is mileage costs. Do you travel as part of running your business? You should be claiming a mileage allowance as part of your self-assessment tax return if you do. If you drive a car or a van for work purposes, you can claim 45 pence a mile on the first 10,000 miles a year that you do for business purposes. After that 10,000 miles, it is reduced down to 25 pence. So if you do more than 10,000 miles in a year, it becomes 25p for each additional mile above the 10,000 miles. If you don't drive a car or van, but instead use a motorcycle, there is a flat rate of 24 pence a mile. And you can also claim 20 pence a mile if you cycle a bike for business purposes. Now, if you are getting value from this video, I would love if you make sure that you hit that like button. Now, for a self-employed business owner, a sole trader, you are going to be putting the expenses of your business through your personal tax return as well as your business income, your business sales revenue. The expenses that you can claim through your personal tax return, your self-assessment tax return, are those which are wholly and exclusively incurred for the purposes of business. That is the HMRC term that is used, wholly and exclusively. And so some things that you need to remember to include are professional fees, including coaching, accounting, and legal fees, any marketing and advertising costs that your business incurs, bank charges, including Stripe fees and PayPal fees, clothing, but only when it is protective clothing or uniform. You can't put through general clothing for your business. For example, if you have to wear a suit for business, you are not allowed to claim that through your business. There has been numerous cases through the courts debating this, and the answer is that you can only claim clothing if it is protective clothing or if it is a uniform. Another thing to make sure you include are subscription costs that are, again, wholly and necessarily for the purposes of your business. And remember, as part of this as well, you'll need to retain copies of receipts for those transactions you're claiming for. You don't nowadays need to keep the physical paper copies. You can have scanned copies of those. You don't need to submit the receipts anywhere unless you have a tax investigation, in which case you may very well be asked to provide copies of those. And you need to hold on to those receipts for 7 years after the submission of the return in question. Which is why nowadays it makes a lot of sense to hold it electronically rather than have boxes of receipts in your attic. Now, if you are struggling with the accounting for your business, do make sure you reach out to me at yt@annetteco.co.uk. I'd love to be able to support you more. Thank you so much for watching. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.